You'll be putting people back to work fixing these houses that are sitting vacant, empty, because nobody wants to touch them. And the value of them will become realistic. The banks will start lending money on them, and we'll get back into a cycle that's positive. And I'm not an economist, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You put people back to work, they're paying taxes on their payroll. You put people back to work, they're making money. They're going out to dinner. They're buying. They're making mortgage payments. They're buying cars. They're making improvements in their lifestyle, or they're maintaining their lifestyle. At either rate, they're making their payments on what they got, or they're spending money. That's the stimulus package, or as I call it, the transfusion that's necessary.
How do homeowners protect themselves against unethical people who claim they can easily and cheaply eliminate tainted drywall?
They got to do their homework. They got to ask a lot of questions. You know, first thing you got to do is ask them what their treatment protocol is. Have they done it before? What is your track record with it? I want the last 5 properties you've done or last 10 properties. I want to talk to those people. What is your back-end testing? What is your guarantee? What kind of insurance policy do you have? How long have you been doing this? How long has the product been on the market? Is it EPA registered? You got all these questions, but these smooth talkers are telling them that, well, you know, nobody has that, and this is new, but it's not true. I mean, we've done well over 20 abatements already, and they've all tested out positive. We've gotten flowing reviews. I mean, we're doing them, but the problem is I probably would have done 500 of them by now if people had the money. I got a lot of clients that are sitting on go, and as soon as they have the money, they're ready to do it. The consumer has a lot of homework to do, and we're an independent consumer advocate company. And I'll talk to them all day, every day, any day. They can pick up the phone and call me. I am very attainable and reachable, and I will be honest with them all the way down the road. That's the biggest thing. They need to get an advocate that will tell them the truth, not smoke and mirrors to get them to do what they want them to do.
Are commercial properties affected by tainted drywall?
Of course. You know, it's just like cancer. You know, cancer doesn't only affect rich people, and it doesn't only affect poor people. Cancer doesn't only affect black people or white people. It doesn't know who you are. Cancer is an equal opportunity disease. Chinese drywall is an equal opportunity cancer. The Chinese drywall didn't know who you were or what you were or anything. You can't even say if you had it built by this builder, he never used it because he doesn't know. The supply houses. And let me tell you, what's coming out in the court system right now was what I was preaching back in 2008. To me, the most egregious violator of the Chinese drywall is now coming to light, and it's a company called WCI and Banner Supply. They knew as far back as 2006 and before that there was a problem with that drywall, and they had sealed documents that are now unsealed, and the truth's coming out in the state of Florida, and it ain't pretty. You read the newspaper, you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. And back in 2008, when I first got involved in it, it was taking care of WCI clients, and I was shocked that they were telling me that WCI went bankrupt. And I checked into it and found out that back as far back as 2006, the WCI and Banner Supply knew they had a problem. But, you know, little Mike Foreman, little country Jewish boy in Sarasota, Florida, you know, I didn't have the credentials that were required to get some attention. Now, the light is being shed on the subject, and proverbial poop is hitting the fan, and the truth's coming out. The WCI and Banner Supply both knew, in addition to Knopf, the manufacturer, Yet they kept shipping and selling tainted and corrosive Chinese drywall in the United States. They signed agreements to seal it so it couldn't be disclosed that they knew about it, and Knopf actually paid to replace their own drywall, Knopf, tainted and corrosive drywall, in Banner Supply warehouse, and they paid Banner Supply to store the material because they couldn't do anything with it. They actually encouraged them, based on the court records, to try and find somebody to buy it. And all those records were sealed up until a couple of weeks ago. That's what's come out of the court trial in Miami. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Huh. So, So are there any trends in this issue in the past few months? Is there anything that's trending in a certain way?
Yeah, the truth is coming out. Who knew what when? And it's a very complex thing, even down to the testing companies that are making a fortune right now, how they knew in advance. I'm not allowed to mention names because I've already been threatened, but bottom line of the deal is there's a lot of people involved in this that knew a long time before 2008, August, when I got involved in it, approximately 2 years earlier, they knew. Well, guess what? That was the peak of the boom, 2006. And they continued until the proverbial poop hit the fan in 2008 and it started getting exposed, and you're finding out that it isn't just a couple of houses. Yeah, I got to tell you a story. When I first got involved in this in 2008, I was told by numerous people, it's not a big deal, Mike. It's no big deal. It's only a couple of houses. It's not as widespread as you think it is. And when I realized that it was a drywall, I realized that these guys were lying to me because I know how drywall is manufactured. It's not manufactured a couple of hundred sheets at a time. It's manufactured hundreds of thousands of sheets at a time. And you're not selling it in a small quantity of a couple of pallets. You're selling thousands of pallets. So if you got one pallet that's bad, probably got 100,000 pallets that are bad. So if that translates into houses, now we're talking about a significant number of structures that are going to be affected, because an average house only has between 150 and 175 sheets of drywall in it. So to tell me that it was a small number of houses, 20, 50, 75, maybe 100, was a lot of BS. Because we're talking about thousands and thousands of houses, which is what I was preaching back in 2008, that this is not a localized problem. This is widespread. This is going to be nationwide. And then in February, when Aaron Kessler published his map that's on my website, everybody started to wake up and realize Foreman's not as crazy as everybody thinks he is. There's 100,000 houses that are affected by this easily.
And is the number growing, or is it holding steady, the number of houses that are affected by this?
No, it's getting larger every day because, like, just take, for instance, in Winter Haven, Florida. They just found 400 more units. It's an apartment complex. You're asking me about commercial. Well, I consider apartment complexes to be commercial because they're not owned by an individual, they're owned by a company. And they make money renting those units out. That's the definition of commercial in that phase of it. Now, there's commercial retail and there's commercial residential. Carlton Arms, Winter Haven, Florida, been all over the news. 400 units affected by Chinese drywall. How many more places do you think that are like that? How many more condo apartment complexes got built during the boom? Not all of them, but a significant number of them are going to be affected.